In this video, we're going to show you to install the right rear outer flex hose on your Toyota Tundra, located behind the rear wheel. Using a 22mm socket, we're going to loosen and remove our lug nuts. Now our center cap itself will pop off once we remove the lug nuts, and they'll come off with the wheel. Go ahead and grab that wheel, remove it, and set it aside. Now right here we have our hard line, and it goes into our flex line. Here there's a joint right here, or a union, and we're going to use our 17mm wrench on the backside of the flex line. Now we did spray this down with some rust penetrant to try and help us out, but sometimes these hard lines can be rusty and break, so you want to be careful, but also be prepared. You might have to repair this line. We're using a 10mm line wrench here, and we're going to hold that flex line on the other side, keep it from spinning, and we want to loosen this here. Now sometimes you can wiggle that nut back and forth to break things free. Periodically spray it down with some rust penetrant. Now we do have a catch can underneath to catch some of this brake fluid that it is going to leak out. Now what's happening here is our flare nut here, our 10mm nut on the hard line, is stuck to the hard line, and if I keep twisting this, it will break this line. However, the other side, the flex hose side, is spinning just fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen and remove the nut on the back side of our caliper. I'm going to unthread the other side from the hard line, and then I'll take a few minutes to loosen up the 10mm line nut here on the hard line so it doesn't ruin that. We use a 14mm socket. Crack that line, remove that bolt. Now there is going to be a copper washer on both sides. This will be replaced. So good, pop that line off there and remove that washer on the back side here. Now there is a horseshoe clip we're going to remove. We're going to use a flathead screwdriver and a hammer. It is located right where the flex line comes through. We're going to tap this. You can see a little lip. And there it is right there. Now that is also curved, so the curved side faces out towards the rear of the vehicle. You don't want to flip it around. You want to make sure that that tab is sticking out. We're going to reuse that. Now we can unthread that line, that flex line, from the hard line. Remove that. I'm going to take our flex hose here and feed that through. Go ahead and thread this on. We can hold the line here and secure this. I'm going to install our horseshoe clip here. So you're going to pull that line through. There's like a little groove in that, so you're going to slide that horseshoe clip through the groove. And I like to use my hammer and just tap that on. That is now nice and secure. Now you're going to take your bolt and we're going to install one new washer, copper washer on the end. Okay, bring your flex line over. We're going to feed this through. Put the other copper washer on that. Let's go ahead and line that up and get that installed. I'm making sure that the pin here lines up and locks onto the caliper. All right, we'll secure that. I'm going to give this a quick spray down with some solvent and then we'll torque down that bolt. I'm going to torque down this bolt to 22 foot-pounds. Now after you torque that, we'll start with a gravity bleed. So you have your bleeder screw right here. It's an 8 millimeter, and we want to go ahead and loosen this. And what we want to do is we want to get any of the air bubbles out of this line here and wait for a solid stream of fluid to come out. So we're going to watch for any bubbles here. And it could take a couple moments for that to fill up this line and the caliper again. So now that we've had a solid stream of fluid coming out and there's no more air bubbles coming out, we're going to go ahead and close this. You just want to snug down that bleeder screw. You don't want to go super tight, but make sure that it's good and snug. Spray it down with some solvent and clean this up a little bit. At this point, we can open up our cap and let's fill this up with fluid. Make sure you're using the appropriate brake fluid recommended for the vehicle. Now what we have to do is perform an entire brake system brake bleed. So we're going to overfill this for now, as we're going to lose brake fluid down at the calipers themselves. And put our cap on. And let's continue to the brake bleeding process. Now that we topped off our master cylinder with fluid, we're now going to start our brake bleeding procedure. Now we have someone inside the vehicle who's going to assist us with this. And we're going to start at the right rear wheel, and then we're going to move to the left front, left rear, and finish at the right front. Now we're using an 8 millimeter box wrench right here, and we have our bleeder container. We're going to go ahead and have them pump up the brakes and hold it. And we're going to put our boot on here and crack this open. And what we're looking to do is relieve any air bubbles in the system. Okay, pump it up. Okay, continue. And again. You can see we're getting a solid, steady stream of fluid here. So what we're going to do is we're going to move to the left front wheel to continue this process. Remove the cap off the master and fill to the full line. Install the cap. Now on the left front, I'm going to go ahead and do the same process here. Now our brake bleeder on the front here has a rubber cap. If yours has it, just go ahead and pop it off. If it doesn't have it, then you're all set. I'm going to put my wrench on here, get my bleeder bucket ready, and I'll go ahead and have them pump up the brakes. Go ahead and pump. Go ahead. And we're getting a solid stream of fluid here as well. Go ahead and pump it up. And we do one more for good measure. Okay, pump it up. Now at this point here, you can go ahead and release the brake. We now want to go ahead and go to the engine bay, and we're going to top off the brake fluid reservoir with fluid, and then we're going to continue and repeat this process for the left rear, and then finish up with the right front. Let's go ahead and install our lug nuts. Get these started a few threads. Let's go ahead and snug these down. We want to line up these metal tabs with the notches in the wheel. Line that up and just tap it on. And when torquing down your wheels, you want to go ahead and torque down the steel wheel to 154 foot-pounds. If you have the aluminum wheels, it's 97 foot-pounds. Ideally, you want to do this in a crisscross pattern. And you're all set. Remove the cap off the master and fill to the full line. Install the cap. So at this point here, if you've hopped into the vehicle and the pedal still feels soft and squishy, you want to repeat this brake bleeding process a second time. For any reason, if it still doesn't feel firm, you want to go ahead and use a scan tool to do a pressure bleed using the tool.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.